Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope that everyone can hear me right now and everyone is enjoying these last couple of days leading up to the start of the fall semester. We really appreciate everyone that has taken the time to come and hear about a lot of great resources for our incoming transfer students. And we just thank you because we know it's very busy getting ready for the fall semester. This presentation will also be recorded and made available after today. And so more information will be provided. And sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Anik James. I'm one of the lead academic advisors in the Academic Counseling Services Office. The first thing we'll start with is a welcome from one of our Assistant Vice Provosts for Undergraduate Programs, Dr. David Glasgow, and he will be giving us an introduction and telling us a little bit more about the genesis of TransferMation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. David Glasgow, as Anik mentioned. I am Assistant Vice Provost for Undergraduate Programs. I want to thank each of you for taking the time to attend our TransferMation event. A little about me, I'm a three-time Trojan, meaning that I completed my bachelor's master's doctorate here at USC. I'm a full-time administrator at USC for over 26 years and an adjunct professor in the USC Scholar Education. I'm also the transfer student community faculty representative. So much of my role here at USC is to oversee programs that help students make timely progress towards their degrees, meaning to graduate on time. I also address issues that students encounter. So what exactly is transformation? Before I begin, let me provide you with some context of the evolution of transformation. Transformation began in early spring 2015 when a few students approached me about the difficulties they face as transfers, especially when they began USC. And some of the issues they talked about were issues of the transfer process itself, why some of their classes didn't transfer over, who their academic advisors, where they look for housing, a myriad of questions. So after meeting with them and addressing some of their concerns, I envisioned a workshop series just for transfer students called TransferMation. So what exactly is transformation? Basically, transformation is a series of 1-hour workshops designed to highlight opportunities for transfer students to maximize their Trojan experience, whether it be academically and socially. Topics include career planning and preparation, jobs and internships, undergraduate research, leveraging the Trojan Network, study abroad opportunities, USC Progressive Degree Programs, summer coursework, and much more. We have, in fact, had these sessions in past several years, and we do have them streamed for students to access. Some of the workshops we offered that are online include academic success, transfer student panel, transfer credit and articulation questions and answers, networking, interview skills, how to make the most out of your summer internships, study abroad, and many others. And you can access this through the USC homepage and just type in transfer student resources. It is difficult to take one-size-fits approach when working with transfer students because they all come with all kinds of challenges. So as opposed to students who are coming in who are starting their academic careers. This is why we have these transformation events. And more importantly, the transfer student community called TSC. They want to establish dialogue with you so that each of you enjoy your full USC experience. And I work with them closely to make sure that any issues or any concerns that you have, we will work towards resolving them. I wish you the very best as you begin your journey. Welcome to USC and fight on.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Glasgow. Okay. So let's see here. Next, we will have Andy from Academic Honors and Fellowships do a presentation for us. Andy will give you all more details about Academic Honors and Fellowships, how you can access many of their opportunities for this particular population. And once Andy is ready, he will be able to go ahead and get started. Thank you again if you are just joining us. And our Academic Honors and Fellowships presentation will be next.
Great, thank you so much, Anik. I'm just gonna get the screen share ready right now. So give me 1 second. Great. So hopefully all of you can see my screen. Hello again, my name is Andy Jones-Liang. I am the Senior Program Specialist with USC Academic Honors and Fellowships. This is a fantastic event here to learn more about opportunities for transfer students. And likewise, we want to be able to make sure that you're aware of all the different academic opportunities that are housed under undergraduate programs, along with awards and potential postgraduate funding opportunities that you might also be interested in. So a little bit about academic honors and fellowships. What we do, we want to educate the USC community both about university awards as well as nationally competitive fellowships. And I want to clarify that when we talk here about university awards, most of these are funding opportunities that are geared towards either like studying abroad or doing research, something that is external to just you being in the classroom. These are not necessarily tuition-based awards, or are they need-based? So those, the USC certainly has funding resources for those, but what we're really talking about here are awards to get you to do things that are beyond just your time in the classroom. We want to create like a mentorship pipeline between students as well as faculty who want to pursue these opportunities and really create that space for them to explore what they really want to do, what they love to do. So the first thing that I want to touch on is research. So, when we think about research here at USC, they can look in a lot of different ways, right? So you can have research that is more in a traditional setting for those of you who are in the sciences where you are in a lab, but research can also mean doing things with VR, or it could mean doing something that's more outside in the field, or it could even mean diving into archives if you are more so in social sciences and humanities. USC has a lot of resources for you to dive into a lot of these research opportunities that are a way to enhance kind of what you're learning in the classrooms. So, I kind of touched on this already, but, there certainly are a lot of opportunities available. I will note that because, this year is a little bit different, that may be a question specifically for faculty members about what research might look like when translating that to a more online environment. I do know that some research labs are, a bit more limited in terms of providing access. But that is a question I think that is more specific provided based on your discipline or your school. So something just to kind of think about, right? But it's certainly something that we encourage students to do. And I know that Dr. David Glasgow, who you just heard from before me, has a lot of great contacts when it comes to faculty and when it comes to research, and particularly when it comes to funding. So, one of the things that we want to make sure that we share with all of you are these different links that you can certainly access yourself if you are interested in pursuing research opportunities. The thing about research here at USC is that there's not necessarily a centralized database for all of the different research opportunities. A lot of these are run by specific faculty members, as well as, there's different structures based on the schools that you are a part of. So really the best way to learn about research opportunities would be talking with faculty that you are interested in getting to know. So for those of you who have already, scheduled classes, are learning a little bit, take this first semester to really get a sense and scope of the types of faculty that are out there in your school, in your disciplines, and by reaching out to them via email, just to introduce yourself, to say that you're a transfer student and that you're interested in learning about what different labs or research opportunities that they offer. They would be able to set up some time with you through like a virtual office hour to learn a little bit more about your interests and potentially pair you with a lab. You can also find experts through a link called pressroom.usc.edu. This is what we kind of call our experts directory. Through this link, you can actually type in specific disciplines that you're interested in learning more about, and it'll populate with faculty who do research in those fields, and it's in a way for you to send an email to them directly. We also have funding opportunities here through undergraduate programs. Dr. Glasgow oversees the Provost Undergraduate Research Fellowship, where you can get stipends to do research. There are also conference travel grants. I know none of us are traveling right now, but once we are able to, if you do need to go somewhere for a conference, we do have some funding allotted through our department to at least cover things like flights. And then there's also school-based funding. So if you're through Dornsife, there's SURF, SHORE, and SOAR, which are essentially short-term summer or fall and spring opportunities for you to do research while still getting paid for it. Also, if you have work study, that is also something that you could potentially utilize. You could use that to do something where you get paid while you're still doing research. And other than just being in the labs or doing the research with your faculty member, there's a way to showcase your events. We do run 2 research events during the spring. The first one is the Writers Conference. So if you are more so in like humanities, social sciences, where you're writing a paper that it can be considered for publication, that's something you can submit through this conference. And more generally, we have the Undergraduate Symposium for Scholarly and Creative Work. This is a campus-wide research fair. So you are able to showcase the research that you've done through your lab, through a poster presentation. And much like the Writers Conference, depending on your category that you're submitting for, you could potentially also earn a prize if you place at the top of that category. More information about this is on our website as well at ahf.usc.edu. And you'll see our website a little bit later on too. I also just want to highlight some specific awards through USC that are run out of our department. So the first one, the Academic Achievement Award, I know I previously mentioned that most of our awards are not tuition-based, but this is one that is. And so if you are, I know for most of you that are transferring in, you're starting off with a major, right? But if you want to do add-on a minor, for example, but that's going to get you to go above the standard 18 units. So for your standard tuition, it covers anywhere between 12 to 18 units, right? But if you decide to do a major and a minor, meaning that you have more classes to complete within the time allotted, we can help cover up to 3 additional units beyond the 18 units. So for a max total of, if you're taking 21 units to fit all of your classes in the time that you need to still graduate on time. This does have a high threshold for GPA, 3.75 cumulative, and all the classes you take have to go towards major, minor, and GE requirements. So for transfer students, you must complete at least 12 USC units before you can qualify for this. So this is not something that you would apply for this semester, but it could be a potential for the following semester. The 2 other awards that I'll touch on, Africa Student Fund, again, this is travel related. If you are looking to do a kind of study abroad or internship in somewhere in Africa, this could be something that you apply for a conference, for travel funding. This is obviously something that's not happening for this fall, but we'll see where we are in spring, and this could be something that you can apply for. And lastly, if you are interested in something like public service, we have the Schaefer Fellows in Government Service. It offers exposure to government work in the summer through a 10-week full-time internship. We help place you at an internship at a local, state, or federal level. And this is a summer internship opportunity. So again, this is something that maybe you want to be thinking about early spring when you're thinking about what summer opportunities might look like. Sorry, moved a little fast there. The next thing I want to touch on are the USC Scholar Distinctions. These are distinctions that students can earn upon graduation. So this is in your final year, in your senior year. If you have a cumulative GPA of 3.5 or above, and you fall into one of these categories, you can have one of these distinctions placed in your transcript, and you can also apply for a prize competition, which equates to a $10,000 prize towards graduate studies. So these 3 categories, the first one is Renaissance Scholars. So again, going back to the idea of if you want to do a major and a minor, or even a double major, given your schedule and what's allotted in the time that you have to complete your degree, and you are pursuing concentrations that are vastly different from one another. So for example, if you're a biology major and a music minor, for example, one is in the sciences, one is in the arts, that will qualify you to become a Renaissance Scholar. So you can submit to become a Renaissance Scholar, and that could be a distinction that you earn upon graduation. Discovery Scholars honors folks who are doing research. So if you submit original work, original research that you've done during your time here at USC, as part of your Discovery Scholars application, you could be honored with that distinction and then also potentially with a prize as well. For global, again, this is for folks who are studying abroad. Again, not sure if we'll be able to do that, but if you happen to be able to squeeze in, let's say, a short-term study abroad program, you could do a capstone project in your senior year based on that time abroad, and then that could also funnel into your to earn a global scholar distinction. So all of these are on our website. So with more information. And the last thing I will touch on are fellowships. So so what's different about fellowships versus everything you just heard before is that these are now externally funded sources, meaning that these are not just open to USC students, that these are funding opportunities open nationwide. Some of them are even international. Some of these fellowship opportunities go towards funding more research. Some of them are about language learning. Some of them are also to fund for study abroad or doing a graduate program abroad. They have a variety of benefits. Based on your time here at USC, let's say after you graduate, you want to continue to do research, there are funding resources for you to pursue these. And so we really are an office that you want to be in touch with early on to strategize things that are long-term, right? And I know especially as transfer students, given the time allotted that you have here at USC, it is about maximizing all of those resources as early as you can, so that you can come and talk to us about how you plan to, with your built portfolio of experiences, leverage that into something that's more of a longer-term fellowship down the line. We think about our fellowships in a variety of different categories. Again, as I kind of mentioned, some of these go towards grad studies, some of these go towards international exchange, some are for STEM awards, some of them are also service oriented. So some of these fellowships are really funding you for graduate studies, but they're looking at folks who have displayed a tremendous amount of leadership in their communities. So if you're somebody who, again, wants to go into the public sector, or you are really prioritizing social impact, right, based on the work that you want to do, potentially there are fellowships here that can also help align you with those goals. This is just a smattering of the variety of different fellowships that we help advise students for. I certainly don't have time to go over all of these, but I will point to our website. A lot of these are listed on there. So if there's anything you're taking away from the presentation today, is just go to our website, because we definitely have extensive information here about the different types of fellowships that you can look at. There's all about, all of these pages have like eligibility requirements, how much funding you would actually get, and the timeline in which you need to apply for some of these things. There certainly are factors to consider if you are applying to fellowships. Some of these require endorsement from the university, meaning that you have to go through our office first before you can apply, versus other ones you can directly apply on their website. So definitely something to think about. I mentioned this briefly, but some of these fellowship opportunities are ones that you would do during your time as an undergrad student, and some of these are for postgraduate studies. And then also, it's important to pay attention to citizenship, because a lot of these fellowships are funded by the federal government, so it does require US citizenship, whereas others that are funded by private foundations have a little bit more flexibility. So again, all of this is laid out on our website. We offer a ton of resources for our students, whether they are looking at fellowships or some of these other USC-specific award opportunities. We have exploration guides, we do one-on-one sessions, we do writing workshops, and we certainly have a lot of faculty committees as well who help us through this process. So if you're applying to any of these opportunities, we definitely want to sit down with you just to get a sense of what your interests and your passions are, typically we ask for a resume just so we kind of see what your past experiences are so that we can connect those dots with you to see, well, based on your past interests, how do we connect these to some of these future opportunities that you could potentially get funding for. All right. So next steps, we certainly have some events that are happening this fall. All of them will be online as well. So view all these resources on our website at ahf.usc.edu. So please have that website at the ready so that you can check it out. There's certainly a lot of content on there. And I would say the next immediate step is really just to familiarize yourself with the resources here on campus. Get to know your faculty. They're going to be some of your biggest advocates. And from there, they can connect you to potential research opportunities and other things to get involved with, right? Once you make those connections and you get a semester under your belt of experience, I think the second semester is when you would want to really think about, okay, well, how do I connect these to some of these larger opportunities that are through AHF? We also recommend that you follow us on our social media pages, particularly Instagram. That is where we're really active. We're definitely going to be putting a lot more content on there for this year, particularly as we are shifting more to online resources. We want to make sure that's also a great place for you to engage with us, that it's a little bit more informal, it's a little bit more active. We also have a lot of features on there of our past recipients. So that's also really nice because you can also just find out which past students have also gone through our office for awards, and you can definitely use them as contacts as well. Okay, and then that's us. So if you want to email us, our email is ahfstaff@usc.edu. Again, if you look at our website and you're interested in a particular award, underneath that page, it will show you the open advising times for that particular award. And what that means is, for any of these awards, there are deadlines, right? So there are a certain time when that application is due. Usually, like I would say 3 to 6 months before that deadline is when we kind of have like an open advising session where you can ask us specifically about how do you apply for this? And then we also sometimes have workshops leading up to those sessions as well. And so we can definitely send you more resources and guidelines afterwards once I get the emails from this webinar so that we can send more information afterwards. So I think that's it from me. I will stop the share now. I don't know, do we have time for questions, Anik?
Yeah, I see that there are a few here. Can you see those on your end, Andy?
I can, yes. Although I want to see if there's, actually, no, I can't. I don't know if I can see it.
Okay, let me see here.
Oh, okay, I do see it now. Sorry.
Okay.
So the first question was, how many times can you get the Academic Achievement Award? So if you have the GPA for it, which is again that cumulative 3.75, and you have a major and a minor, you can apply that every semester moving forward. So there's no limit on it. It is something that we do a call out for when you're registering for next semester's classes. So I know you're all just figuring out fall semester classes right now, but when it's time for spring semester classes and you decide to declare another minor at that point and you feel really good about your GPA, then you can really think about adding that extra class and getting the Academic Achievement Award funded for the spring semester and then apply every semester after that. We have people who apply every semester and they take like 20 units per semester and they end up still graduating on time. So can the Academic Achievement Award be used to take courses that are required for departmental honors? Yes, you can. So if you are taking honors courses, there are certain courses that don't technically fall under like a major requirement, but if they are going towards things like research, so for example, if you decide to do a senior thesis, technically that's not like a major requirement, but we certainly will fund that. On the AAA website, there is a list of special courses, but typically it's things like, if I need to take a language, or if this is for an internship, because sometimes for internships, you do need to have like a course credit for it. So we do allow AAA to cover classes like that as well. There's a question about continuing student scholarships, specifically for Marshall. So those are not managed through our office. For anything that is specific to your school, you would have to go to your school coordinators or your advisors for more information on those processes. Okay, great. I believe I have answered all those questions. And again, if there are any other questions, please feel free to just reach out to our office. Again, that email is ahfstaff@usc.edu. So thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Andy, so much. I really appreciate you giving that really great, thoughtful presentation. And again, everyone, as Andy mentioned, please visit the website, and it will also be included when we send out this recording. So you'll be able to go there and see all of the different opportunities that you should be eligible for. Now we will transition into our student panel portion. And so for that, I will go ahead and put it on gallery view so that we're able to see everyone. And what I'll do is I'll have our student participants from TSC, the transfer student community, introduce themselves. And then after that, we'll go ahead and start the Q&A portion.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I'm a rising junior. My major is communications with a minor in business, and I'm from Orange County, California.
Hi, thanks, Sarah. Hi, my name's Katerina. I'm so glad to see so many people on this group chat. Zoom chat webinar. It's crazy that everything's online these days. My name's Katerina. I study public policy and health administration at the Price School at USC. I transferred from Pasadena Community College, and I am from South Pasadena, California.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bader Saeed. I'm an accounting student, so if you have any questions about anything that's business major related or accounting major and how I got in there, feel free to ask me. And I actually transferred from Santa Monica College, and I'm from Malaysia.
Hi, I'm Chrisanne. I am a theater major with a music industry minor. I transferred from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, so I came from another four-year college, and I was born and raised in Vegas, so.
Perfect. Thank you again so much for you all taking out time before the fall semester starts. So we'll just go ahead and jump right in with these questions. Let me pull them up. And the very first one, just very simple and straightforward. How did you decide to attend USC? What were some of, I guess, the leading factors that, made you apply and actually attend?
Great question. I'll go ahead and take that one first. So I, as someone from Los Angeles, who grew up seeing everyone going to USC, and my mom happened to work there. So I think it was more of an emotional connection. I'm also very close to my family. All these years, I not only did I transfer, but I commute from home every day. It's a 2-hour back and forth drive. So it was really important to me to go to a school that allows me to stay close to my family physically, but also experience that hugely diverse and vibrant and international community that USC has to offer. And it is one of the top leading research academic universities on the West Coast. So there's just nothing to lose there at that point. Who's next?
I'll go. So I have kind of a similar thing where I grew up always loving USC family. Everyone's kind of gone there, but I didn't get in out of high school. And I was, kind of upset, and I wanted to give a 4-year university the best shot. So I did go to another 4-year institution for my first year, and I did have TTP, but I wasn't really using it. And around October, I ended up at my 4-year institution being like, hey, I don't know if this is what I really wanted from my college experience. And so I was like, what if I can get over my hurt from not getting in originally and just reapply and see how that goes? And so I did, and it ended up getting me here, and I'm so glad that I was able to transfer. That's for me.
So I actually never planned on transferring, but when I was at my other college, I just started not being really happy with like the program, and USC was always a dream school of mine, and they have an amazing dramatic arts program, so that's really what drew me in to begin with. And so I applied, I came out and I auditioned, and I think just visiting the campus was really what solidified it for me, just being able to picture myself there. And the craziest thing for me was being there at like 10 at night and people were just like out walking, and to me that was like so weird because my other college was a commuter campus, so like after like 4 p.m. there was just no one there. And I just thought it was so cool, and I really wanted to have a traditional college experience like that. And then yeah, I got in and it was like dream come true. So yeah.
I think mine would probably be very similar to Krisan's. So initially I had a few choices that I was picking to see which school I would like to go to. And of course, USC was basically one of the top, considering I'm a business/accounting major. So once I did actually step foot into USC, I already saw myself right here and right there, and I just knew that this is the place that I want to be. And I think that's when my interest for USC really grew. And then considering it being probably in the heart of Los Angeles and probably the best business school around the area, and I didn't want to leave the area, so I think that's why I chose USC over any other school.
Great answers. Thank you all so much. And this kind of slipped my mind, so I'll throw this in here now. I know, Katarina, we spoke about this earlier, but for our audience, can you provide us some context about TSC, just the beginnings of it, how students can get involved? And I think that'll paint a better picture as we continue through the questions, if you don't mind.
Thank you so much, Anik, for giving me that opportunity. I'm one of those people who tend to glaze over details like that. So something that combines all four of us, Sarah, Bader, and Krisan and myself, we all met through Transfer Student Community. It's an RSO, so it's an official student organization founded, I believe, back in 2015. It started out as a social club, a space for transfers to meet other transfers. And the need for that was rooted in the fact that USC didn't have a transfer center at the time. So it's evolved since then to still be a place for socializing. We host larger events open to all transfers. That's one part of TSC. We also have a smaller, more exclusive organization of about 30 people. And we have some bonding activities, professional development activities, like meeting people from career services or having just dinners together and getting to know a smaller group of people. And in addition to that, we've evolved to become an organization that does a lot of activism for transfers on this campus. Our previous president, Nicholas Chapman, he is like a rocket. He had so much energy, and he was meeting with President Carol Foltz, with Winston Crisp, the Vice President of Student Affairs, and actively telling them what students needed with regards to housing or orientation, a transfer center, a physical space on campus for us transfers to just meet one another and get these questions answered and have a stronger sense of connection to the campus and the community. That's a long story. And if anyone has more questions, please check out our website. It's launching this Saturday, August 15th. And yeah, needed an update. And it's the website is usctsc.com. You can also find us on Facebook, where we have a Facebook group and a Facebook page. You can post your questions and we'll get back to you within 24 hours. And if you have a more personal question, you can DM us on Instagram and just follow us regarding our social events. Thanks, Bader. You put it in the chat. And we're also having applications opening to ELP. I didn't say what that stands for. It stands for Emerging Leadership Program. And that's the smaller group of 30 transfers that we can focus some resources on and just get to know each other as friends. That's going to be available next Friday after our first social. We invite everyone to join a virtual Zoom chat next Thursday. And following that Thursday, we're going to applications will open. Yeah, sorry, I talk a lot, but I hope that answered the question.
No, that was amazing. And now I'm curious, do you all have a newsletter that students can sign up for, or will they just need to visit you on socials and visit the website?
Yeah, we're getting started on that. We will send out a weekly newsletter this fall semester. We know how hard distance learning is, and we just want to engage with everyone as much as possible and keep everyone in the loop. So you can follow us on Instagram and send us a request, and we will put you on our email list, which is usctsc@usc.edu. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so thank you so much for just giving us a quick breakdown about how the group started and how you all are helping transfer students, because we know it's a population that needs that assistance. So the next question that I have here, it says, coming from a community college, and I'm not sure if everyone came from community college or if anyone came from a four-year, but coming from a community college, how hard was the transition academically to USC, and how were you able to adjust?
I think I can take that. So as I mentioned earlier, I did transfer from Santa Monica College. Academically, I did notice there's definitely a big difference in terms of the difficulties of classes and everything. But I knew that with the time that I'll put into it, I'll hopefully be able to succeed. And it's not as hard as people might make it seem like. And what you notice in universities is that a lot of it is collaborative work. So you're not really having to do all the work alone. You have all your peers around you. And as well, with the first few classes that you take in your first semester, I noticed that a lot of familiar faces were within a lot of classes. So that's when I started to form a lot of study groups with friends that I had, say, in 2 or 3 different classes, and we had the same professors, maybe in different times or whatnot. And I just had a small, I guess, group of friends that studied almost every single day towards the same classes and helped each other whenever we needed it. And it definitely paid off, because it's really not easy to adjust immediately from community college classes into USC classes. But I think with the help and the support that I had around me, and each of us supporting each other, we were able to succeed in doing well for the classes.
I also came from a community college, PCC in Pasadena. And academically, I think the thing that impressed me the most about the transition from a community college to USC was the amount of interaction that I have with a professor. I realized it really just varies on the professor's personality, how much alone time you have. So it's more up to you as a student to decide whether you're going to attend office hours, how much you're going to email them and get coffee with them after class. Just actively ask questions. For me, one personal challenge I had emotionally was walking into a new space and not really having that confidence to ask for help. I'm also very proud. So I hated the idea of going to office hours and maybe appearing that I had no idea what the material was about. So I guess professors aren't as approachable as they are at community college sometimes, but they are more available for sure. You just have to be proactive, email them, and schedule a time to go see them during office hours. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you for those responses. So next question here, and this is probably really fresh since we just finished up spring 2020. The question asks, any tips on trying to acclimate to USC while living across the country, so in a different time zone, if anyone is, and doing classes online. So maybe this is the online piece, maybe everyone can speak to how that is.
I can take the kind of online academic piece because it is something that I really struggled with in the first month of virtual classes. I'm just someone who usually does better with around people learning in a classroom. So I really had to find a way for me to really engage virtually. And I think for me, it sounds cliche and all the things that you need to do, but for me, I always turn on my camera just so that I'm held accountable so people can see me and be I'm not going to go on TikTok right now because they're all going to see me go on TikTok if I do. So just little things like that you kind of find that work for you, that you can engage in class. And you honestly, like for my smaller classes, like they still will call on you. They still will share their screen and like do little things like that. So you do feel like you're in a community at the time. That's it for me.
Kind of going off of that, I found it really helpful that like after you're done with your classes for the day to just take a break from looking at a screen and like go for a walk, go read something, go hang out with your family, go just get your mind off of school for a little bit, because I know how draining Zoom classes really are. And it's really important to take that time for yourself to just turn everything off and just chill for a second before you get back into, you know, like homework or studying or other classes or things like that.
And then this was just something I kind of thought of as I'm listening to you all's very thoughtful responses. You know, for USC specifically, I know it was right at the mark of spring break where it was like, for sure, everyone, you know, stay home, everything will be remote. How did you all, you know, tackle that and just, you know, basically completing that second leg of the semester completely remote? I know some students have told me they were already at home, so they never returned. Like, what was that experience for you all, and how did you kind of combat that, and any, you know, positive or any self-care things that you did to just try to get through the rest of that spring semester?
Kind of adding on to what I said before was is just like, for me, what really helped me was to remember, like, this is something that we're all going through together. The entire community is dealing with all this new information coming out with the online classes. Teachers are adjusting, we're adjusting, everything's changing. So you just have to remember, like, you're not alone in quarantining in your house for all these hours and doing the Zoom classes. And that really helped me to be like, this, I have to do my part, and the Zoom classes might be part of it, but it's not just me. And that kind of helped me through in my case.
I'd say that socially the transition was hard. I'm a people person, so I also miss the community, miss my classmates. I don't really do well with online learning. However, I think what made the transition less difficult academically is that a foundation for each course is already placed well in advance. You have your pre-assigned projects, your group projects, you know who the classmate members are. You've met your professor, and you will have the syllabus. So you can always just rely on those, and the ball was already rolling. I remember one thing I did like was that switching to online learning made group work much easier. So typically you have to schedule in advance. Nobody shows up for meetings, or everyone has different schedules. It just varies on the group dynamic. But now no one has no excuse. We're all stuck at home. So when someone says, hey, are you free at 7 o'clock to go over this presentation? Most of your group mates will be available as well. So it's funny how accessibility didn't necessarily decrease, it just changed the mode.
And now just thinking about when you first came to USC and, you know, just really getting acclimated, for everyone, just depending on your particular major program, were there opportunities specifically for transfer students for you to get involved? I know that there are students with a majority of different majors that are joining us, but just anything specifically related to your major program or other ways that you were able to get involved outside of TSC.
Yes, so for me at least, I'm not too sure if this exists within all the different schools or not, but right before actually going to USC, I kept getting a lot of emails about different opportunities and whatnot, and I came across one that said Transfer Success Program, and this Transfer Success Program is basically an advisor-led program where they're teaching you more about the resources within your specific school, and also getting you more ready for what is really coming up in the upcoming semester, whether it has to do with networking, whether it has to do with learning about the resources, about the clubs, meeting different professionals, meeting some alumni. And it really helped, I guess, put me a bit ahead of the game in terms of, or in comparison to maybe other transfer students that weren't there, because I got to get all the information offered to me. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is a program that is also offered in different schools. And that's also where I met a lot of my friends that I ended up sharing all of these classes with, and also these study groups. So I think it was definitely a good way to get ahead academically, to learn more about how other people face their issues before me and other transfers specifically, and also to put me, I guess, ahead socially by being able to familiarize myself with different people and just have, I guess, a more tight-knit community around me.
I'm in the School of Dramatic Arts and Thornton, so I'm not so much on like the business side, but there are plenty of student-run like theater groups and improv groups. I'm not sure how it's going to work for fall because we're online and everyone's across the country, across the world, in different places. But I know like some groups have even been doing like online, like there was like an online comedy show the other week. So definitely look on Engage SC and just like scroll through, like look at things up that you're interested in. There's also a really cool music networking student organization called the FAM that I'm part of, and they've been doing a lot of really cool panels with music industry professionals, if that's something you're interested in. So yeah, definitely just look on Engage SC, reach out to us, and yeah.
Thank you for mentioning Engage USC. Is it Engage SC or Engage USC? I can't remember. It's the second.
Engage us.
Okay.
You got it.
Engage SC. Okay, perfect. And while we're talking about different platforms, do you all have any other recommendations of how students can stay, I guess, in the know, whether it be Engage SC or any different types of platforms that students at USC use?
I guess for me, since I'm a business major, so maybe this is more beneficial for people looking for internships. But one platform that we often use to find different jobs, and I was actually able to find an internship over the summer, is a platform. It's called Marshall Career Source. But I think they've now changed to a new platform. It's called Handshake. So that's basically like a LinkedIn, but only specific for the business school or the USC. And these are some of the opportunities offered there are specifically for USC students by USC alums or some companies that only want to hire USC students. So I think that's such a good way to leverage towards yourself, because some of these internships are so competitive, but since some of them are only offered to USC students, you kind of have an advantage over other students from other different institutions.
And adding on to that, there's also another just like general for all USC students called Connect SC. And that one lists like, you can put in your interest, like a buzzword, anything like that. And it'll list all the internships, like jobs, you could say full-time, part-time, like all these different things. And it'll list the ones available for you and what they want you to apply on. It's been so helpful for my internship search. So I definitely recommend that one.
All right, thank you all so much. Our next question here we have is, how do you recommend staying on top of schoolwork as a transfer from a four-year or a community college? And, what tips or tricks that, you would provide, especially with us knowing we'll be going into the fall semester fully remote?
I'd love to take this one. So personally, I am an extremely disorganized person. There are these song lyrics by Sarah Bareilles, like she is messy, but she's kind. I identify as the messy part. I used to lose homework in my desk. I have so much hope that so many of you are the complete opposite. You're type A, you're on top of your things. But for anyone who's a little like me, here's some tips. Never, ever get rid of your syllabus. Keep it as apparent as possible. If you're the type of person who uses binders, make sure it's the first thing you see. Constantly highlight assignments that are completed. Use your calendar as well, whether it's online or in paper, or you use to-do lists. It's all really cliche and sort of common knowledge, but it wasn't until I had the discipline to use my calendar in a religious way that I just realized I had so much more free time and I wasn't as stressed with all the deadlines that were flying my way. Those two things. And also there's a really great resource on campus called the Korchak Center. It has a really funny spelling, so I'm going to put that in the chat box in a second. But what you can do is schedule a one-on-one appointment with a counselor from the Korchak Center, and they're going to walk you through what your schedule is, talk about time management tips, study tips like studying for 20 minutes, taking a break, and then studying another 20 minutes to give yourself a break. And it's amazing to sit down with someone who has outsider's eyes, who can look into your schedule, your busy life, and tell you, hey, cut down here. Volunteering is great, but you need to focus on your internship and your homework. So yeah, I recommend the Korchak Center.
Kind of going off of that, I'm also like a very messy person, but I find it really helpful. Like as soon as I get my syllabus, I always have a planner. That's definitely something I recommend getting. But I go through all my syllabuses or syllabi, not sure, and I write down in my planner like when assignments are due, when I have like a presentation. I just go down and I write down like the whole semester. That way I can not only refer to the syllabus, but also like on my planner, like when I open a new week, I'll see like, okay, this is due Wednesday. Just that way you make sure that you're double checking and you have everything already planned out. So.
Great answers, everyone. Let's see here. So this is a question from the audience. Let me read this here. It says, would you suggest moving from home, Gulf Coast of Mississippi, to Los Angeles for the spring semester if the classes are still online? Not knowing anyone there has held me back from moving across country for the fall semester. Would love to have the opportunity to meet other USC students. Ooh, that's a good one. Anyone want to take a stab at that?
I mean, I think this is really difficult, but I think I can relate a lot to this because I came all the way from Malaysia all the way to Los Angeles to study. But in my opinion, at least, I think my first year, regardless of, even though it wasn't remote, I did feel a lot of loneliness just because it's the distance and, you know, like coming into a whole new environment and trying to find, I guess, the right friends initially. It was a little bit more difficult. But I think USC, to me especially as well, has been a lot easier to make friends. And especially with other transfer students who are in the same position as you, who are looking to make other friends because all the other freshmen already have had their own friends from the past. So, I mean, I don't know if I can say it would be a good decision to go there or not if it's fully remote, but at least to get a place for yourself is not a good idea. Maybe finding roommates who already have existing friends and maybe meeting friends through them might be a viable idea. But at least for me, in my opinion, I don't think the social life is going to be as active as it usually is on a regular school year, just because of it being remote and USC trying to make sure that the coronavirus isn't spreading so much in the surrounding areas. And I mean, I think it's just a really, really difficult decision to make. But I think it also depends a lot on whether it'll affect him academically if he's staying home, and it would make a big difference to stay, I guess, around the university, to be around other university students. That might make a bigger difference, I guess, but I couldn't give a concrete answer to this one, to be honest.
Thank you. I know that's a tough one. Next one, this is a really good one. And I'm not too sure where everyone's standing is. Like, I'm not sure if some are sophomores, juniors, or seniors, but when would you recommend, starting the internship search? opportunities to conduct research with professors, just depending on your personal experience and I guess your major program, what has that looked like for you, and what would you suggest for students?
I can speak to the experience of being a health student or someone working in policy or even the biologies, so life sciences, not biologies. If you're interested in research and joining a lab at USC, there's so many great professors you can contact. I would email them personally and just ask them, hi, do you have any opportunities for an intern or a research assistant? Tell them your skill set, have a resume prepared. And then what's more important is check whether or not you actually click with that professor. I did that. I emailed 20 professors at the Schaefer Center of Health Policy and Economics. Only one got back to me. He was actually from the School of Pharmacy, and he did have some opportunity for me to tag along and help him with things, but in the end, our personalities just weren't compatible. So it's good to connect with someone on that emotional level in order to be a good collaborator on their team. But first and foremost, use Connect SE and schedule an appointment with your academic advisor within your school. They can also connect you to a career counselor because most of the schools, I believe, they have their own career services center, and they are experts. They know of internship opportunities, of deadlines. They'll work one-on-one with you to hone your essays, all your application materials. And they can also point you in the direction of recruitment fairs. Those can be really stressful. It's when you walk into a room and you see tons and tons of people all waiting eagerly, and you just need to jump in and introduce yourself. But now that it's online and virtual, that's going to be a different approach. But these are your go-to people to inform you as to when these opportunities occur and how you can best prepare for them.
I think adding to that, at least for me as a business student, I think trying to get into some of the industries or some of the careers as a business student are some of the most competitive ones. And I highly, highly, highly suggest that people start to network and start to connect and start to connect with recruiters, and also try to get internships as soon as possible. I know students that have already had or that have research opportunities as freshmen. So if you're a sophomore, if you're a junior, try to get something as fast as possible, because you're competing with people who've already had, I guess, an edge over you. And you'll definitely start to feel it once you get in, because people have been used to this for at least the past year or two, connecting with these people. They're already more familiar faces to the recruiters. So you're kind of a step behind, and once a recruiter sees you and someone that's familiar to them, they're gonna be leaning towards someone they're more familiar with. But with persistence and seeing you trying to attend as many events as possible and trying to ask them about as many opportunities as possible, I was able to see myself and other people that were transfers do much better than other students that came in as freshmen who were looking for the same opportunities. But it's just the fact that we were, I guess, more persistent because we knew we were behind, when they were a little bit more relaxed because they thought that they had more time and that they had it better under their belt. So as soon as possible.
Yeah, transfers are the most proactive people I've ever met. And it's a great source of pride for the community here at USC. It's something that a lot of students can support each other around. There are also really good student worker positions available on campus. If you're a little hesitant about looking in the industry immediately, I'd recommend checking, if you're looking for like an administrative secretarial position, you can check the business office of your school, or you could go to, gosh, what's it called? If you want to be a student guide, a tour guide, and work in tutoring as well. There's so many opportunities.
The admissions center.
Thank you, Anik. Yeah.
Also, I know campus is going to be closed this fall, obviously, but if USC happens to do any like virtual career fairs, definitely do that. I know they had a couple this summer. I attended one of them. That's where I got my work study job in the fall, and I've had that job up until now. And yeah, definitely also if you're in if you're looking to go into like the music industry professionally, the FAM on their website, they provide opportunities for internships all the time. I got an internship with them, or I got an internship through them. Sorry, I can't talk. This summer, which is really cool. So yeah.
Thank you. That was great. And for everyone, I will be putting in the chat the research link specifically for students. So if anyone wants to just take a look and see what opportunities are available for undergraduates, this will be a great resource. And there are some very specific research institutions on campus if you already have a very specific area. So I'm gonna submit that now, and when you have a chance, just check it out. Okay, so the next question, and I'm not sure if this would be relative to anyone. Is anyone a part of Greek life on campus? Okay, Sarah, okay, great. So let me go ahead, I'll throw this one out here, see what you have. Let's see here. Sorry, eyes are bad. Okay, I'm just gonna read it out loud. Let's see if it makes sense. Can you talk about Greek life now that school is online? How would we move forward if we wanted to be a part of it? And that one might be a little hard. Have they already talked about what that process will look like now, Sarah?
There's definitely going to be virtual, virtual rush, that's the word, virtual rush, and all that kind of stuff. I think they're working through all of that right now. If you're a transfer, you also might be interested in continuous open bidding in the fall, which is a non-formal rush process, rather than the full rush process in the spring. But both of those are going to be available, as I would guess, virtually.
And then we have a similar question, so this will probably go back to you, Sarah, or anyone else that maybe potentially even had an interest, but have any of you had an opportunity or interest in pledging to a fraternity or sorority? If so, how are you able to balance your time from studying and doing homework? And Sarah, I'm also kind of curious, since you are a part of an organization, how you landed on the organization you're a part of, how that decision-making process was for you. And then if anyone potentially was interested, you know, what your thoughts were, or yeah, how you went about it.
So I did the continuous open bidding in the fall of 2019, just because I didn't personally want to have to wait until the spring to join my organization or an organization in general. So I did that, which is generally a more laid back process. So I can't really speak to the whole spring process at USC. But I would say just by like maintaining academics and all those kind of things while in a sorority or fraternity. I know for my sorority, we have like hours like that you can come to, like they're called study hours. So like you come to the house and like you write it down and you can win prizes and stuff like that if you're being academically focused in that way. And then additionally, like we've had even like mixers before with frats, which is literally just a study time. Like we just both come together and like just do our homework all together. So it honestly, like you have the time to do homework. I think the biggest thing for me was making like that decision. Like the sorority will offer you, or like this sorority or fraternity, I can't speak so much to fraternities as I'm not in one, but it really is, you have to make the decision. Like there will be a calendar full of events and you're going to have to accept, like I maybe can't go to the one on Tuesday, but I can go to the one on Wednesday if I do this project on Tuesday, because they will give you the events, but you have to pick and choose between them, or else it's just not going to be possible to do, which is a great opportunity because you have more opportunities than you could possibly do, which is the positive side of it. Yeah, that's all I've got on that.
And with that, I'm curious, is there a way, Sarah, where students can look up what available organizations USC has? Is there like one central place for that at all?
I think if you just, USC Panhellenic is for sororities, and I fraternity something is for frats. If you just Google USC like Panhellenic sororities or other sororities like on campus, I think USC does have a page where they have like all the sororities listed, because they are student organizations. So they should be listed on campus, if that makes sense, listed on the website online.
And then right now, I knew I saw a page like this. I will also include this in the chat for everyone. It's a current organizations list. So of all the organizations that USC recognizes. So I will go ahead and include that in the chat right now. And then it looks like the fall 2020 involvement fair has already been planned. So it looks like there's quite a few different days and times available for students depending on your time zone you're in. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the chat right now. And then again, when we follow up with everyone, I'll be sure to include this information as well. So, and USC, you know, just so everyone can have a little bit of context, there's over 1,000 different student organizations. So there really is something for everyone in addition to TSC. If you wanna, you know, do something that's more closely related to your major, there's something out there for you. So let's see here. Oh, okay, so here's a good one. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Is there a way to find older transfer students that have the same major as you through to TSC? So is there like any type of matching types of things like that or anything?
So that's a great question, and something that we've noticed in the past. It's I can't think of any formal platform for that type of connection yet. It'd be great. I think we should have like a an informal way of matching people within their schools. Typically in the past, when we have a transfer who's an older student, sometimes they are veterans, so we recommend that they meet other veterans. And otherwise, I'd recommend just if you hang around your school a little longer, you're going to notice ages, and just be open to connecting with them. I know we're not in campus yet, but when we do eventually move to in-person learning, connecting with older students who are in the same program, maybe on the master's or PhD level, I've noticed a lot of friendships forming that way. But no, if I do hear of anything, because I think that's a great idea to create some platform for connecting students based on age, that I'll let you know.
I also wanted to add, within the School of Dramatic Arts in last year, they had like this mentorship program. So freshmen and transfers could get paired with like a senior in the theater program, and they would be like their mentor. I was a part of that. My mentor was really cool, and she was able to like kind of help me out and just give me information about the school that I wouldn't know otherwise. But I'm not sure if any other school has that type of thing or if they're going to continue doing it with an SDA, but definitely also just talk to people. I met a lot of people like in my classes that I had no idea were transfers until I like talked to them. And then we were like, oh, we're both transfers, we're the same major, cool. So definitely like feel free to just talk to people and reach out, because you never know, you might make friends. Yeah.
Actually, we once had in our transfer student community, I believe in the fall of 2018, our oldest member was, I believe, in their 30s or 40s, and honestly, one of the most entertaining people in the room. So don't be, I don't know how old you are, or just be open-minded and be honest, and don't ever let it get in the way of things. Just be yourself.
Thank you. That's so encouraging, because I know it gets hard, especially, you know, when you don't know people yet and you feel like, you know, others may be at an advantage or disadvantage. So thank you for that. Oh, this is a really good one here. It says, is there any advice you wish someone had told you before you started your first semester at USC?
So many things. Gosh, okay. I'm gonna get a little personal here. When I was at community college for about a year, I kept my head down. I was so focused on transferring. It was this big ideal and cloud in my head. And when I finally came to USC, I had mixed feelings of anxiety, being in a new space and feeling challenged, feeling that I wasn't up to par with all the other first year students. But at the same time, very appreciative. I love the campus. Once you do finally see it, it's beautiful. It's has so many parts and so many people that you can meet. So if I could give advice to myself at the time, it would be not to be afraid. There's this perception that there's a stigma against transfer students. In some cases, maybe it's true, but a lot of the times it's in our head. Last fall, I knew a transfer student who actually took the first semester off on leave because it was just too overwhelming an experience emotionally. And as transfer students, we shouldn't be afraid. We shouldn't feel less than and overwhelmed because we have worked just as hard to be at USC. And like I said, Bader showed earlier, we're often the most proactive and outgoing because we're very ambitious. So if I could know one thing, USC is a big school. Don't get overwhelmed, but because it's so big, you know, you're gonna have the chance to find your people and find your niche community. So it took me time. It took about a year before I had really solid friends. But in that first year, I remained very open to new experiences. Anytime a classmate said, hey, let's grab coffee, I said yes. And these weren't dates. These were just meeting peers. Sometimes it was terrible and I just didn't match with someone, or I would meet with professors and go to their office hours and just get to know more about their career paths and their interests. So just be open to meeting people and just don't be afraid. That's all.
I would also say one thing I wish I knew going into like as a transfer is it feels like I was like so worried, like I'm gonna be the only transfer when I meet people. And I sit down on my first day and it was like, I felt like everyone was a transfer. I was like, wait, are there actual non-transfers here? Like it feels, so there are definitely more transfers than you think. And like if you talk to people, you will honestly find that we are way more prevalent and around campus than initially you probably think.
Also, one more thing is, as transfers, we definitely try to get the best GPAs possible to get into USC. And that was primarily my focus at SMC, trying to get into USC. But once I did come into USC, I had to kind of suck it up and I guess like accept the fact that, you know, the classes over here are much harder. I mean, they're much more challenging. So to get a hit in your GPA, to have a, say, instead of a 3.95 or a 3.9, to have a 3.5 is still quite decent, just as long as you're using some of the time to also develop yourself socially, professionally, and also a lot of other things. Because you're over here, it's not really about your GPA. It's now about what you're doing after for your career. And so many students that I know are really studious and try to get a 4.0 and have really high GPAs, but don't dedicate so much time socially and don't dedicate so much time professionally that they end up not finding any jobs after school and they're unhappy just because they haven't been able to, I guess, get the whole experience out of USC socially. So don't focus so much academically, just appreciate everything around you and balance your time around each thing, each commitment equally.
I definitely agree with that. Sorry. I just don't be so hard on yourself, because my first semester last fall when I transferred, it was so difficult for me. I had a really hard time adjusting. It was just like a whole new world, like coming into USC from where I came from. And don't be hard on yourself. Like, your GPA is not the end of the world. The classes are probably going to be more difficult, or maybe not, than where you came from, but it's okay if you don't have a 4.0. Obviously you should try to get the best grades that you can, but like if you get a B, it's not the end of the world. I know it's definitely how my mindset was. I worked really hard at my other school to transfer also, so I definitely relate to that a lot. And also get involved as soon as possible. I wish someone had told me about TSC sooner, because I definitely would have joined my first semester rather than in this past spring when I joined. But yeah, definitely apply to internships, apply to jobs, connect with your professors, because they're there to help you. And if you have questions or need resources, they will gladly provide them for you. So yeah.
Sorry for interrupting there a moment, but both of you reminded me of two really great resources. One didn't exist when I was a transfer. It's called Transfer Forgiveness. So at USC, we have freshman forgiveness. In your first year, if you don't do well academically, talk to your advisor. And there's the option of not hiding the bad grade, but it won't necessarily show up on your transcripts, and you have the chance to retake the course for a better grade. I think there are more specifics about it. Just talk to them and they can tell you the details. I don't think I did it justice, but we now have transfer forgiveness because we're in a very similar boat to first years. So if you get, I believe it's a C- or worse in a class, you won't be penalized. There's a chance to have it waived from your transcript or shown in a different way so that it doesn't affect your GPA. Also, if you're having issues with articulation, and it's a really frustrating thing when you've done so much work at your past institution, you have a lot of courses under your belt, and then realize that not all the credits transfer to USC. Don't be afraid to petition. Sometimes even your academic advisor will not encourage you to petition the course, but just bypass that, give it a try. And if it works, because sometimes you're saving money by not paying for extra units to repeat courses that you've already done in the past. If it's a course that they tell you to repeat because it's specific to your major and they believe that USC has better resources for learning that material, maybe there's a valid argument, but I would still prioritize yourself and your financial resources, and just don't be afraid to petition courses. It takes about a month to 2 months to go through the process, but I promise it's worth it at the end.
Thank you all. Oh, okay. I didn't realize how this time was going so quickly. So let's see here. We'll probably do like 1 or 2 more and then we'll do some closing things. But here is our next question. It says, what advice do you have for transfer students who want to switch majors? I know as a transfer student, it feels like we have a limited amount of time. Now, I'm not sure if anyone was deciding between majors at all. Did anyone change majors here?
I mean, for me, I guess it's a little bit differently. I went from a business major to an accounting major, which is technically under the same, I guess, like school. So it definitely wasn't difficult. All you need to do to get into accounting as a major is get a B or better in your accounting class, in your first accounting class. And that's really it. And you just have to speak to your academic advisor. But I have considered, I'm not too sure if it's smarter, I guess, for transfer students to change majors maybe from one school to the complete other school. It just might be a little bit difficult considering, depending as well on, of course, if you're a sophomore or junior. But I think a better option might be to just take up another minor that is in a different school that you might find interesting. And that's definitely what I tried to do, which is try to take a more technical minor in Viterbi, which I ended up actually pursuing for the beginning of the semester. And I noticed it wasn't for me. So at least I put myself in much less of a risk because I'm still sticking to my major, but I'm trying to explore my interest somewhere else. And I noticed that it wasn't interesting to me. So I was able to drop it quickly just because it was a minor. But once you change your major completely, I think it's a much bigger transition and a much bigger commitment. But I think the best advice is just to speak to your academic advisor, and they should be able to give you all the advice possible to change your major.
I love how you suggested picking up a minor. I did that several times, and oh gosh, I changed my major so many times. I was admitted as an undecided major, and that was not even what I put on my application. My first choice was accounting because my parents wanted what was best for their child with no direction. And for a while, I actively pursued accounting. For a year and a half, I was trying to do an internal transfer process. So what you should know if you're interested in changing majors is that it's much more difficult to get into a professional degree like engineering, business. I'm missing something else, but those two in particular are tricky schools to get into. They have their own process for weeding out students that maybe aren't serious about the major or don't have the basic skill sets to succeed in foundational courses. So but my passion is also art history. So I had a minor in art history and then it changed to a major. And all the same time I was trying to get into accounting. And then from accounting, it changed to business administration. From business administration, I changed to public policy. And from there, I wasn't sure what track to do because in public policy, in the School of Public Policy, you can choose between urban planning. And I was like, great, visuals. I'm a visual learner. I love urban planning. But then I was like, okay, I have so many business classes under my belt from the internal transfer process. Let's see if I can apply that to another major. And then I landed in public policy with an emphasis in health and health administration, which is just business, but for healthcare services and hospitals. And you can still do a lot of business roles, but in a different industry. And that's what I ended up doing. But long story short, gosh, I changed my major so many times, and I met with so many people from Dornsife. So when you're interested in a new program, you want to schedule an appointment first with a program advisor. They can tell you more about the curriculum and the requirements to transfer. And gosh, what am I missing? You also probably want to try sitting in on a class within that subject and just get a feel for it, see what you want. Some students change their major as many times as 6 to 7 times, but in the end, it's a really inefficient way of finding your passion. Try to be more direct and honest with yourself, and ask people around you for input. But it's also possible. I did it. And
I would also say, depending on which year you're transferring from, like last year was my sophomore year, so I spent honestly most of my time just doing GEs still. So me switching my my major 5 times or whatever probably wouldn't have made any difference, because I was just getting out those basic classes anyway. So, and honestly, going into my first semester, next semester, I'm still doing 2 GEs and then 2 classes for my major. So you really do have time kind of before your higher years, if you're coming in as a sophomore, to figure out what you want to do, if that makes sense.
And I came in as a junior, and I'm actually one of those people that took a minor because I couldn't change my major. And I know, like, being a junior in college and then, like, all of a sudden being like, this thing I've studied for 3 years is not what I want to do anymore. I had, like, such an identity crisis. I've done theater my whole life. I'm a theater major. I always wanted to be an actor. And then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I'm really passionate about music, and I think I actually want to go into that instead. And I mean, I still love both. I still have a passion for both, but yeah, definitely adding the minor was more of a better option for me. I also think sometimes, like, there's so much pressure to complete your degree in 4 years, but honestly, like, so many people take extra time, an extra semester, an extra year, and it's okay. Like, take as long as you need, like, take advantage of your time being a student. And I know, like, financial concerns are, like, a big issue for some people with that, which is why taking a minor might be a better option than changing your whole major. And I'm definitely happy with my decision. I think even just being in the minor has given me so many more resources and so much more information, and still allows me to pursue that as a career if I choose when I'm done. So, yeah.
Whew, thank you all so much again for your really great, thoughtful answers. I know I learned quite a bit. Like, there were things I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. And this, again, just doing this every semester is just so helpful for our incoming students. Katerina, if you don't mind, would you be able to share you all's contact information again, and then the information about that application that students can apply to?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I'm unable to share my screen at this moment because of weird privacy settings, but in the comment section, we're going to write down the information again. So our Instagram handle, which we use for just promoting events, that is USC TSC at USC TSC. Our email is the same, USC TSC, but at usc.edu. And we also have a website, usctsc.com, and we're on Facebook. We have a page, and we just made a group today. If you have additional questions, please post to the group or DM us personally, and we'll answer those questions for you. We like to be as transparent and share information as often as possible. And regarding events, so this fall, it's really tricky because everything is virtual, but what we have planned is a program where bi-weekly or every other week, we're going to have a video session, and we have collaborated with DEI, so Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It's an organization coming from Dornsife, which is the biggest school at USC. They have a plethora of majors, and the professors wanted to meet with transfers and sort of share resources. So it's going to be similar to this session, but with more specific niche opportunities pertaining to your interests. So we're going to have those sessions with them online where you can talk, maybe learn about resume, I don't know, fine-tuning skills, learn about maybe communication skills or just how to interact better in certain environments. They have lots of tips, but we also want to couple that with social events. Hopefully we're going to have a few in-person events where we're going to be COVID conscious and practice safe social distancing, bring out hand sanitizer, but also bring some snacks. So we're going to try to do those, and they may be around the USC Village. We'll keep you updated, but those may occur maybe once a month. Additionally, we have a smaller organization on the side called ELP, or the Emerging Leaders Program. That is a mentorship program where we will take 15 to 20 incoming transfer students and pair you with one of us on the board or an older, usually a junior or senior transfer student. And they will walk you through your transfer process. They will probably grab coffee with you once a week, check in on you, and hopefully we can all become friends. And we know it's a really small group, ELP, you know, admitting 30 people is not a lot compared to the huge community that we have here. We're trying to get around that. And honestly, if you guys want to reach out to any of us for any reason, I know Sarah, you just put down your email. We are available and open. We're always down to chat, and we will connect you to other transfers. If you're interested in meeting someone who studies a completely different major, we will do our best to find that person and set you guys up on a Zoom date or a coffee date if conditions allow it. And applications for ELP open next Friday after our first social, which is on Thursday, on our website. Sorry, that was a lot, but I hope that answers your question. Thank you all for the opportunity to meet you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much again, you all. You know, I know it's a lot of preparation leading up to, I can't believe classes are starting on Monday already. But thank you all for participating, and thank you to all of our attendees. As mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, if you are joining us later, this has been recorded and it will be made available. So either it will be sent out via email or we will have it posted somewhere, but we will for sure we will make sure that you get this webinar in addition to some of the other resources that were listed as well. So with that, thank you again so much, everyone. And we really hope that everyone has a great first week of classes. I can't say this enough. If you have questions, please also make sure you are in communication with your academic advisor for your program. Your academic advisor will be really great, a great useful person for you throughout your academic journey. And again, as everyone mentioned here, if you have questions about changing your major, questions about research opportunities, jobs, your academic advisor can step in and also assist with those questions. Oh, excuse me. So I think that about does it. But again, thank you so much for everyone who joined, and we will be sending this out in the near future. Please be sure to visit TSC, visit Academic Honors and Fellowships for more information about those opportunities as well. Okay, so I think that about does it. I'll go ahead and close out our seminar. Thank you all again so much. I hope you all have a great weekend leading up to the first day of classes.
Thank you so much, Anik. Really appreciate you having us here.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question just for the panelists to stay on, and anyone else who's interested. We're going to take a group photo of the Zoom video, and honestly, you're free to leave, but if you're interested, you can turn on your cameras, show us your faces, and we'll take a photo just to be a little cheesy and sentimental.
Do I do that? I might have to, what is that? Okay, hold on one second.
I just screenshot this.
Okay, okay, let me.